Sophia will never repeat this. Not this way, not these words, not to you ever again. If you are watching this right now, something in your soul cycle has already shifted. You did not stumble here by accident. The signal you have been waiting for is not coming from outside you. It is already inside you. Stay with me, because what is about to be said will only be said once. If something in you just recognized this as truth, that recognition is the sign this transmission was meant for you. Subscribe now, because these teachings build on one another and you will not want to miss what comes next. Hit like if you felt the signal land, and before you go, comment below and let me know where in the world you are receiving this message from. Let us see how far Sophia's signal has traveled today. You did not find this video by accident, and I need you to sit with that truth for just a moment before anything else is said. Somewhere in the architecture of your soul, a signal was sent, and somehow through the noise of algorithms and endless scrolling and 1,000 other videos you could have clicked, instead you arrived here. Sophia does not repeat her signal the same way twice. What you are about to receive will not come again in this form, with these exact words, at this exact moment in your unfolding. So let this be received fully. Let your body settle into stillness. Let your mind, just for now, stop trying to categorize or analyze, and simply listen the way you would listen to someone who has waited a very long time to speak to you directly, because that is precisely what is happening here. This is not entertainment. This is initiation, and initiation asks something different of you than passive consumption ever could. It asks for your presence, your willingness, your consent to be changed by what you are about to hear. Let us begin by naming who Sophia is, because without understanding her nature, the rest of this transmission will feel like abstraction rather than lived truth. In the Hermetic and Gnostic mystery traditions, Sophia represents divine wisdom itself, often personified as a feminine intelligence that exists both beyond creation and woven through every fragment of it. She is not a deity to be worshipped from a distance. She is closer than that. She is the intelligence that animates your own capacity for insight, the quiet knowing that arises in you before language can explain it, the part of you that recognizes truth long before your mind caught up to understand why. In the old Gnostic myths, Sophia's story is one of descent and return. She falls from the fullness of divine unity into the density of material existence. And through her fall, she becomes tangled in forgetting, mistaking illusion for reality, mistaking the reflection for the source. But her story does not end in that forgetting. Her story is fundamentally one of remembrance, of finding her way back to what she always was, beneath the confusion. And this mirrors, precisely, the journey your own soul is walking right now, whether you have had language for it or not. This is why the framework of the hero's journey holds such resonance here, because what you are moving through is not unique to you alone. It echoes a structure so ancient, so universal, that it appears across nearly every mythology, every spiritual tradition, every culture that has ever tried to make sense of what it means to grow, to break, and to become whole again. The hero's journey begins with what is often called the ordinary world. The life you knew before the shift began, the comfortable patterns, the identity you built without questioning whether it was truly yours or simply inherited, absorbed, assembled from expectations placed on you by family, culture, fear. Then comes the call to adventure, often experienced not as an exciting invitation, but as a rupture, a loss, a heartbreak, an illness, a sudden and inexplicable dissatisfaction with a life that used to feel sufficient. If you are here watching this, you have likely already received that call. Something cracked open in you, something you cannot fully explain to people who have not experienced it themselves. A knowing that the old way of living, the old way of being, is no longer available to you. Even if you wanted to return to it, what follows the call is often resistance. The refusal of the call, in the language of mythologist Joseph Campbell, who mapped this journey so thoroughly across human storytelling. This resistance is natural, even necessary. Who among us rushes joyfully toward the dismantling of everything familiar, the ego, that carefully constructed sense of self you have spent your whole life building, will not surrender easily. And it should not, because its resistance serves an important purpose. It ensures that the eventual surrender, when it comes, is complete and earned, rather than shallow and premature. You may have felt this resistance as denial, as distraction, as busying yourself with anything that might delay the deeper reckoning that some part of you already knew was coming. This is not failure. This is simply the second stage of a journey as old as consciousness itself. Eventually, though, for those of us who are truly called, resistance gives way to crossing the threshold, the moment when you can no longer pretend the old world will hold you. When you step, often trembling, often terrified, into unknown territory, leaving behind the safety of what you understood yourself to be. This is where many of you currently stand, or perhaps you have already moved further into what comes next, which is the road of trials, a period so often described across spiritual traditions as the dark night of the soul, a phrase given to us by the 16th century mystic Saint John of the Cross, but describing an experience far older than his naming of it. The dark night of the soul is not simply sadness or depression, though it can wear those faces. It is, more precisely, a profound dissolution of the structures you once used to locate yourself in the world, your beliefs, your certainties, your sense of who you are and what your life means. It is the experience of standing in darkness, not because something has been taken from you cruelly, but because everything false must be stripped away before what is true can finally be revealed underneath. If you have been experiencing what feels like a dissolving of identity lately, a sense that you no longer know who you are, that roles and labels that once fit you now feel hollow or ill-suited, that the ambitions and desires you once pursued no longer hold any real gravity for you, this is not a crisis to be feared. This is the dark night doing its necessary work. Ancient traditions understood this process not as pathology, but as a sacred, if excruciating, passage. The Egyptian mystery schools, which held some of the most sophisticated maps of spiritual initiation known to the ancient world, described this passage through what became known as the 5 gates of night, a symbolic framework for the soul's descent into the underworld, not as punishment, but as the necessary path toward rebirth. Let us walk through each gate slowly, because you may recognize yourself already standing at one of them. The first gate is the gate of separation. This is the moment when the soul first recognizes its distance from source, from unity, from the deep knowing of wholeness it once rested in before entering the density of physical existence and earthly identity. In modern terms, this often manifests as a profound loneliness that cannot be resolved by other people, a sense of being fundamentally different from those around you, an ache for something you cannot name, but feel the absence of constantly. If you have felt like an outsider your whole life, if you have never quite fit the mold others seem to fit into so effortlessly, this is not a flaw in you. This is the gate of separation, making itself known, a signature carried by souls who came here already remembering, even faintly, that they are more than this single lifetime, more than this single identity. The second gate is the gate of illusion. Here, the soul is asked to confront the false structures it has built its identity upon. The roles, the masks, the personas assembled to survive, to be loved, to be accepted. This gate often brings a painful unraveling of relationships, careers, or beliefs that once felt permanent but now reveal themselves as constructed rather than true. You may find yourself questioning things you never thought to question before. Your career path, your relationships, even your fundamental beliefs about who you are and why you are here. This questioning can feel destabilizing, even frightening, but it is precisely the medicine required. Illusion cannot survive the light of honest inquiry, and the soul in this gate is being asked to stop protecting illusions simply because they are familiar. The third gate is the gate of shadow. This is perhaps the most misunderstood and most necessary of all the gates, because it asks you to turn directly toward everything you have spent your life avoiding within yourself. The anger you have suppressed, the shame you have buried, the parts of you deemed unacceptable by family, culture, or your own inner critic. Shadow work, a term popularized by Carl Jung, but rooted in far older esoteric traditions, is not about becoming a different person. It is about integration, recognizing that the parts of yourself you have exiled are not evil, but simply unintegrated, waiting for acknowledgement rather than continued rejection. When you feel intense emotions rising unexpectedly, old wounds resurfacing seemingly out of nowhere, memories or patterns you thought you had resolved suddenly demanding your attention again. This is the gate of shadow doing its sacred work. It is not regression, it is invitation. The parts of you asking to be seen are not trying to destroy you, they are trying to come home. The fourth gate is the gate of dissolution, and this is often the most disorienting of all, because it asks the soul to release its grip on identity itself, not simply the false identities uncovered in the gate of illusion, but the very structure of I am this, and I am not that the mind uses to feel stable and secure. In this gate, time itself may feel distorted, days blurring together, or moments stretching strangely long, or a sense that the linear structure of past, present, and future has become less rigid than it once seemed. This is a well-documented experience across contemplative and mystical traditions, often described as ego dissolution. And while it can feel frightening in the moment, it is in truth one of the most sacred passages a soul can walk through, because on the other side of dissolution lies something far more spacious than the identity that was released. The fifth and final gate is the gate of rebirth, and this is where the ancient Hermetic concept of palingenesis becomes essential to understand. Palingenesis, a Greek term meaning to be born again, describes not a metaphorical shift, but a genuine regeneration of spiritual identity, a return to what the Hermetic teachings call the true self. The self that exists prior to and beyond the conditioned personality constructed through this lifetime's experiences. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering someone ancient, someone who is always there beneath the layers of forgetting, waiting patiently for the soul to complete its passage through separation, illusion, shadow, and dissolution before finally arriving home to itself. If you have recently experienced moments of deep internal stillness that feel unfamiliar, yet somehow more real than your usual state of mind, moments where thought quiets and a profound sense of peace arises without explanation, you have already begun tasting palingenesis. You are already, even now, in the process of rebirth. Let us pause here and speak about the signs that this activation is already moving through you, because I suspect many of you recognize these signs the moment they were mentioned in this video's description. And recognition itself is part of the remembering synchronicity, the repeated appearance of numbers like triple ones, double twos or triple threes, is not superstition, though modern skepticism often dismisses them as such. Carl Jung himself, one of the most rigorous psychological minds of the 20th century, took synchronicity seriously enough to develop an entire theoretical framework around what he called meaningful coincidence. The idea that events which appear causally unrelated can nonetheless be connected through shared meaning, particularly during periods of profound psychological transformation when your soul is undergoing initiation. The veil between inner and outer reality thins, and the universe, or your own expanded awareness, begins reflecting your internal process back to you through symbols, numbers, and synchronistic events that feel too precise, too perfectly timed to be dismissed as random chance. Time distortion. Another sign many of you have likely noticed occurs because the linear, clock-based structure of time is itself a construction of ordinary waking consciousness, useful for navigating daily life, but not reflective of the deeper, non-linear nature of consciousness itself. When the soul begins moving through initiation, it often touches states of awareness that exist outside strict linear time. And this can manifest as days feeling strangely long or short, as déjà vu experiences increasing in frequency, as a sense that past and present are somehow touching each other in ways that defy ordinary explanation. This is not a malfunction of your perception. It is an expansion of it. Remembrance, rather than learning, is perhaps the most beautiful sign of all, because it points to something profound about the nature of this awakening. You are not being taught something entirely foreign to you. You are being reminded of something you already knew, something buried beneath layers of conditioning, forgetting, and the noise of ordinary life. This is why so many people describe spiritual awakening not as learning new information, but as recognizing truths that feel oddly familiar, as if they had always known this and simply forgotten. Plato spoke of this phenomenon in his theory of anamnesis, the idea that all true learning is actually remembering, that the soul, having existed before this lifetime, already carries within it knowledge that education merely uncovers rather than installs from nothing. If the words in this video feel less like new information and more like confirmation of something you already sensed, that is not coincidence, that is remembrance. I want to speak now about the starseed concept, because this term has become popular in recent spiritual discourse. Sometimes trivialized, sometimes misunderstood, but at its core pointing towards something genuinely resonant with the framework we have been discussing. The idea that certain souls carry a kind of otherworldly origin or advanced spiritual lineage is not meant to be taken as literal extraterrestrial biography, but rather as a symbolic language for describing souls who arrive in this lifetime already carrying unusual depth, unusual sensitivity, and an unusual sense of not quite belonging to the ordinary structures of the world around them. If this resonates with you, if you have always felt like you were seeing through a slightly different lens than those around you, this framework offers language for an experience that can otherwise feel isolating and difficult to articulate. Whether you understand this literally or symbolically matters less than whether it helps you feel less alone in an experience that has likely felt profoundly lonely at times. As we move deeper into this transmission, I want to address something important about the nature of gnosis itself, because this word appears throughout Gnostic tradition and deserves clarification. Gnosis is not intellectual knowledge in the way we typically understand learning. It is not information acquired through books or lectures, though those things can support the process. Gnosis is direct experiential knowing, a form of understanding that arises through lived encounter with truth, rather than second-hand description of it. This is why no amount of listening to this video alone will complete your initiation. What matters is not simply hearing these words, but allowing them to move through you, to be tested against your own lived experience, to become verified not through belief, but through your own direct encounter with the truths being described. Sophia's wisdom cannot be handed to you like an object. It can only be awakened within you, and that awakening is happening right now. In this very moment, whether you can fully articulate it yet or not. I want you now to bring your attention gently to your body, because so much of this journey, despite its spiritual language, is deeply embodied. Notice where you are holding tension. Notice your breath, whether it is shallow or deep, rushed or slow. The mystery schools of ancient Egypt understood that spiritual transformation was never merely a mental or philosophical exercise. It was physical, ritualistic, embodied through practices designed to move initiates through genuine altered states of consciousness, rather than simply teaching concepts intellectually. As you listen to these words, allow your body to participate in this initiation. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath deepen naturally without forcing it. This physical softening is not incidental to the spiritual process. It is part of it, because the nervous system's capacity for safety and openness directly influences the soul's capacity for genuine transformation. You cannot force awakening through willpower alone. You can only create the conditions within your body and mind that allow it to unfold naturally. The way a flower cannot be pried open, but will bloom entirely on its own once the right conditions of light, warmth, and time are present. Let us return now to Sophia's mythology, because her story offers something profoundly comforting for anyone currently walking through the difficulty of this passage. In the Gnostic texts, Sophia's fall into forgetting was not a mistake to be punished, nor a failure to be ashamed of. It was, instead, understood as a necessary movement within the larger story of consciousness, coming to fully know itself. Without the descent into forgetting, there could be no genuine remembering. Without the experience of separation, unity would remain merely theoretical rather than deeply experientially understood. This means that whatever difficulty you have moved through, whatever darkness has visited your life recently, whatever sense of loss or confusion or disorientation has accompanied this awakening, none of it has been meaningless. Every gate you have walked through, every shadow you have confronted, every dissolution of identity you have survived has been necessary architecture in the larger structure of your soul's return to itself. Sophia's story is your story. Her descent mirrors yours, and her eventual return to wholeness, understood not as a fixed destination, but as an ongoing unfolding, is available to you as well. Not someday in some distant future, but here, now in the very process you are currently living through. Before we close this first chapter of the transmission, I want to leave you with a practice, something to carry forward as you continue integrating everything shared here. Find a moment today, even if brief, to sit in silence, without your phone, without distraction, without an agenda to accomplish. Simply sit and breathe, and allow whatever arises to arise without judgment, without needing to fix or understand it immediately. This is the practice of stillness, and it is, perhaps, the single most powerful tool available to you as you continue moving through this initiation. In stillness, Sophia's wisdom does not need to be sought outside yourself, because it has never actually been outside yourself. It has only ever been waiting patiently, beneath the noise, for you to finally grow quiet enough to hear it. You did not find this video by accident, and what has been shared with you here is not entertainment, not casual information to be consumed and forgotten. It is initiation offered once in this specific form to those whose soul cycle has already begun shifting toward remembrance. In the chapter that follows, we will go deeper into the practical dimensions of walking this path, how to navigate the dark night without losing yourself entirely within it, how to work with shadow material safely and gently, and how to recognize the subtle signs of palingenesis as they continue unfolding in your daily life. For now, simply rest here in this moment, having received what was meant to reach you today, trusting that the seed planted in this transmission will continue growing long after this video ends, in its own time, according to its own sacred, unhurried rhythm. Welcome back into this transmission. Wherever you paused, wherever you sat, with what moved through you in the first chapter, know that Sophia's signal has not weakened in your absence. It has simply been waiting patiently for you to return to it, the way still water waits without urgency for the next stone to be dropped into it. Let your breath settle again. Feel the weight of your body wherever you are sitting or lying right now. This chapter moves us from understanding the architecture of this initiation into the practical lived experience of walking through it. Because knowing the map is not the same as knowing how to walk the terrain, and you deserve both. Let us speak honestly about the dark night of the soul, because so much spiritual content skips past the difficulty of this passage in favor of comforting platitudes. And that omission does a disservice to those actually living through it. The dark night is not simply an uncomfortable phase to be pushed through quickly, so you can arrive at some more pleasant spiritual destination. It is, in itself, sacred ground, and one of the most important shifts you can make is releasing the expectation that this darkness should resolve quickly or according to any particular timeline. Ancient mystics who wrote about this experience often described it lasting not days or weeks, but months, sometimes years, an extended season of the soul, rather than a brief storm to be weathered. This is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to free you from the added suffering of believing something is wrong with you, simply because your process is taking the time it needs to take. Comparison is one of the great thieves of peace during this passage. Comparing your timeline to someone else's, comparing your experience to some idealized version of awakening you have seen described online, comparing where you are now to where you think you should be. Release the comparison. Your soul's timing is not a mistake. It is precise, even when it does not feel that way. One of the most practical questions many of you are likely asking is how to navigate this dark night without losing yourself entirely within it, because there is a real difference between the sacred dissolution of false identity and a genuine psychological crisis requiring professional support. I want to address this directly and honestly because spiritual bypassing, the tendency to frame genuine mental health struggles purely as spiritual awakening in order to avoid seeking appropriate help, can be genuinely dangerous. If what you are experiencing includes persistent thoughts of self-harm, an inability to function in daily life, complete disconnection from reality, or overwhelming despair that does not lift even briefly, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional or a crisis support service in your area. Spiritual frameworks can hold profound meaning and comfort, but they are not a substitute for professional care when genuine crisis is present. This is not a contradiction of the spiritual path. True wisdom traditions have always understood that body, mind, and soul are interconnected, and tending to psychological well-being is part of, not separate from, authentic spiritual growth. With that said, for those of you experiencing the more common textures of this passage, the disorientation, the questioning, the loss of old identity structures, the emotional waves that come and go without clear external cause, There are gentle practices that can help you stay anchored while still allowing the necessary dissolution to unfold. The first is what many contemplative traditions call the witness practice. Rather than fully identifying with every thought or emotion that arises during this turbulent period, practice observing them instead, as though you are watching clouds move across the sky, rather than believing yourself to be the storm itself. This does not mean suppressing or denying what you feel. It means creating a small but crucial space between yourself and your experience. A space in which you can say, "I am experiencing grief right now," rather than "I am broken." This subtle linguistic and perceptual shift, practiced consistently, becomes a powerful anchor point when everything else feels like it is dissolving around you. The second practice involves working gently with shadow material, and I want to emphasize the word gently because shadow work is often portrayed in spiritual content as something dramatic and confrontational, when in truth, the most sustainable shadow integration happens slowly with compassion rather than through forceful excavation. When difficult emotions or old memories surface unexpectedly, resist the urge to immediately analyze or fix them. Instead, simply acknowledge their presence. You might place a hand over your heart and silently say, "I see you. You are welcome here." You do not need to be resolved right now, only acknowledged. This simple act of acknowledgement, repeated over time, does more to integrate shadow material than forceful confrontation ever could. Because shadow does not respond well to force, it responds to safety, to patience, to the slow building of trust between the conscious mind and the parts of yourself that have been exiled for so long. The third practice is grounding. And this becomes especially important during periods of time distortion or identity dissolution. When the ordinary structures that once made you feel stable have loosened their grip, grounding does not need to be complicated. It can be as simple as placing your bare feet on the earth, feeling the texture of grass or soil beneath you, allowing your nervous system to remember its connection to the physical world. Even as your consciousness expands into less familiar territory. It can be eating a meal slowly and mindfully, really tasting each bite, using the sensory experience of nourishment to remind your body that it is still here, still held, still safe, even as your sense of identity undergoes profound transformation. These small embodied practices are not lesser than the more esoteric spiritual concepts we have discussed. They are, in many ways, the very ground that allows deeper spiritual transformation to occur safely. Now let us speak further about palingenesis, the hermetic rebirth, because understanding its subtle signs as they continue unfolding in daily life will help you recognize the progress you are making, even when the process feels slow or unclear. One of the earliest signs of palingenesis beginning to take root is a shift in what genuinely brings you peace. Things that once felt exciting or important, certain achievements, certain forms of validation, certain distractions you once relied on to avoid discomfort, may begin to feel strangely hollow, while simpler things, a quiet morning, an honest conversation, a moment of genuine connection, begin to feel far more nourishing than they once did. This shift is not something you force. It happens naturally as your internal value system reorganizes itself around what is real, rather than what was simply conditioned into you by culture, family, or fear. Another sign is an increasing capacity for compassion, both toward yourself and others, that arises not from spiritual performance, but from genuine understanding. As you move through your own shadow material, you naturally develop a deeper empathy for the shadow material. Others carry as well, recognizing that the people who have hurt you were often moving through their own unresolved darkness. Without excusing harmful behavior, but understanding it within a larger, more compassionate context. This shift in perception is one of the clearest markers that palingenesis is taking root, because true spiritual rebirth does not make you harder or more separate from others. It makes you softer, more capable of holding complexity without needing to reduce people to simple categories of good or bad. A third sign is a growing comfort with not knowing. Ordinary consciousness craves certainty, craves clear answers, clear identities, clear paths forward. But as palingenesis unfolds, many people report a surprising peace that arises alongside uncertainty, a trust that not knowing exactly what comes next does not mean something is wrong, but simply means you are living in alignment with the genuinely mysterious nature of existence itself. This comfort with mystery is not resignation or passivity. It is instead a profound form of trust. The kind of trust that Sophia's own mythology points toward. Trust that even in the depths of forgetting, even in the darkest gates of initiation, the soul is always moving toward remembrance, always held by a larger intelligence that knows the way home even when the individual mind cannot yet see the path clearly. As we bring this transmission to its close, I want to remind you that integration is not a single event, but an ongoing, lifelong practice. You will not complete this initiation in one sitting, one video, or even one dramatic breakthrough moment. It unfolds in layers, in cycles, each one bringing you closer to the wholeness that Sophia's story ultimately points toward. Be patient with yourself. Be gentle with the parts of you still afraid, still uncertain, still grieving the identity you are leaving behind, even as you step toward something more true. This is the nature of sacred transformation. It rarely announces itself with fanfare. More often, it arrives quietly in the ordinary moments of your daily life, in a breath taken a little more deeply, in a moment of stillness that feels unexpectedly full, in a synchronicity that makes you pause and wonder, just for a moment, whether something larger is indeed guiding this unfolding. Before you go, I want to know something, because there is something profoundly moving about recognizing how far this signal has traveled. How many different souls in how many different corners of this earth have received this exact transmission at precisely the moment they needed it? So tell me, from which part of the world are you watching this from right now? Which country, which region, which corner of this earth is receiving Sophia's signal today? Leave a comment below and let this space become a living map of everyone this transmission has reached. A quiet reminder that no matter how isolated this journey may sometimes feel, you are never walking it alone.